Hi, I'm Jeremy and I'm your host of Tell Me Wine TV, where we try to answer your questions about wine right here on the internet. And today's question was sent in from Jerry from Manhattan, who asks, what is the difference between Premier Cru and Grand Cru when you're referring to wines from Burgundy? And it's a pretty easy answer, which is basically there are 600 Premier Cru vineyard sites in Burgundy, and there are 41 Grand Cru sites in Burgundy. Oh, it's dirty. And basically, some hundreds of years ago, a group of individuals decided which are the best vineyards and which ones are even better. And it was a marketing thing, as so many of these things are. It was a marketing thing, and it allowed people to sell land at higher values, I'm certain. And it was also something that was designed to protect the consumer. So, for example, where this bottle of wine here is from the village of Fontenay, it's also labeled as it says Wonner, which I get Premier Cru, Le Poston. So that's a vineyard within Fontenay. That's a Grand Cru. So grapes in this bottle came from this vineyard. If it's from a Grand Cru vineyard, which tend to be much larger, it simply needs to say the name of the vineyard, Clos Vougeot, Grand Cru, and that's all you need to know. The problem with this designation, how should I say, process, is that anybody who gets grapes from Clos Vougeot can make wine and call it Clos Vougeot. That's all you need to do. Any schmuck can go and buy those grapes and make Clos Vougeot. I can make Clos Vougeot. And that's unfortunate, because the consumer then has to know a lot more about this person, the person who made it, in order to make a conscious buying decision when deciding on a Grand Cru. And like this bottle is about $100 plus bucks, maybe $200 bucks. And that's a lot of money to invest, and the expectation is it's going to be great. Versus Bordeaux, just throwing it out there as like a first growth Premier Cru wine from like Lafite Rothschild, there's no question, you know exactly where it's coming from. You know exactly who made the wine. Nobody else is making Lafite Rothschild but the people at Lafite Rothschild, and you know the grapes came from Lafite Rothschild. So, but in Burgundy, it's really complex, and it's really beguiling, as I said. And Burgundy is a wine region that is literally measured in inches, because here might be a Grand Cru vineyard, and right next to it a Premier Cru vineyard, and those vines are just touching each other, across a little wall, and it's a difference. It's a difference. But again, the Premier Cru, I should have backed up. Somebody decided that the Premier Cru vineyards were of a certain quality, high enough to call it Premier Cru. Grand Cru, higher still, based on the slope, the soil composition, exposure to the sun, etc. These vineyards tend to be on the hillsides versus something that's simply just labeled Bourguignon, Chardonnay, come from anywhere in Burgundy at all, and probably down on the flats. But in honor of the question, we're just going to have a little Fontenay, that's a village, 2003 vintage, hot vintage, so something a lot of people aren't crazy about, from Albert Bichot, and let's see. Richer style, well, it's not a tasting show, but anyway, that's a good question. You could spend the rest of your life studying these little vineyards, and you'd still die and not know it all. Thanks, Jerry. for sending that question in. And keep sending your questions in too. Tell me wine TV.